So, divisions in the House GOP were on full display last night during a vote to establish a commission to look into the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. 217 Democrats and 35 Republicans voted to pass the bill tasking a 10-person bipartisan commission to investigate what happened that day. Republican lawmakers opposing the measure are now facing increasing pressure over their response. In a fiery speech, Democratic Congressman Tim Ryan slammed lawmakers across the aisle over their, quote, incoherence.
What else has to happen in this country? Cops. This is a slap in the face to every rank and file cop in the United States. If we're going to take on China, if we're going to rebuild the country, if we're going to reverse climate change, we need two political parties in this country that are both living in reality, and you ain't one of them.
And there's much, much more. Nikole Killion reports on what comes next.
The bill is passed.
Democrats cheered the passage of a bipartisan bill to establish a January 6th commission. The 10-member panel would be equally divided between appointed Democrats and Republicans with subpoena power to examine the root causes of the Capitol attack, a framework agreed to by the top Republican on the House Homeland Security Committee.
This is about facts. It's not partisan politics.
Still, 175 Republicans voted against the commission.
We have people scaling the Capitol, hitting the Capitol Police with lead pipes across the head, and we can't get bipartisanship.
The bill now faces an uphill battle in the Senate, where Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell echoed House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy in opposing the commission despite being involved in the negotiations.
House Democrats have handled this proposal in partisan bad faith.
Democrats have to convince at least 10 Republicans to sign on, with some already calling for changes.
We need to discuss whether we should look at violent domestic extremism on both sides.
The family of fallen U.S. Capitol Police officer Howie Liebengood, who died by suicide after the riot, endorsed the commission, writing, "Every officer who worked that day, as well as their families, should have a better understanding of what happened." The appeal comes as the FBI released 2 new videos to identify suspects who attacked law enforcement.
So Nikole Killion is joining us now from Capitol Hill with more on this. So Nikole, the vote last night, dozens of Republican Party members broke ranks with House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, and they supported the bill. He was adamantly against it. Have we heard from him at all in response or reaction? Is he concerned?
You know, I did have a chance to catch up with Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy yesterday before the vote, and he was asked if he was concerned about what this may say about his leadership, and he said that he wasn't, and that he wasn't concerned about the vote. I also talked to the number 2 House Republican, Steve Scalise, earlier this week as well, and asked him if he was concerned about the optics if some members broke. And at the time, we didn't know how many, but he insisted that, you know, the party is unified regardless. But look, this is a clear break from leadership after a week of, you know, the leadership shakeup that we saw last week involving Liz Cheney and Elise Stefanik, where, you know, party leaders said they wanted to be unified going forward. And yet still, we saw with this vote, a vote that was bipartisan, that nearly 3 dozen Republicans split off. So certainly, while publicly they're saying they're not concerned, obviously, you know, it's something that we'll keep asking about.
So, Nikole, as you mentioned, the bill could face more roadblocks in the Senate. What are we hearing from GOP senators on this matter? I note that in your reporting, we saw Susan Collins expressing some concern. You know, the narrative seems to be building with Republican senators that this needs to address the protests that took place over the summer in the wake of the murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis. But they're so different, and the notion of trying to lump the two together I get that that's a roadblock, but given that John Katko already went back to Democrats with concerns and demands that Republicans had, and Nancy Pelosi and the other Democrats agreed to them, I mean, I'm just trying to understand the disconnect here.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, at the end of the day, there has been this disagreement. I mean, we've seen it throughout the duration of these negotiations, and really from the outset, you know, Speaker Pelosi was very clear that she wanted this to be narrow and focused strictly on January 6th, whereas some Republican leaders like Kevin McCarthy suggested, no, this should be about other political violence, not just, you know, some of the Black Lives Matter demonstrations that we saw last summer, but Antifa. He also talked about the attack that happened here at the Capitol just this past April involving Officer Billy Evans, you know, where someone rammed into a barricade outside of the Capitol. So, you know, his point is they just want to make this more wide-ranging. And to your point, while it may be an apples to oranges comparison, that is the position of many Republican leaders. Look, you know, I think it's still a wait and see as far as Senate Republicans. Certainly, Leader McConnell's decision to oppose this legislation and this commission in its current form kind of pours cold water over the fate of this bill. But at the same time, you know, you do have some lawmakers like, you know, Mitt Romney, who are taking more of this wait and see approach, saying that he wants to see the legislation first. You know, you have others like Bill Cassidy of Louisiana, who has said that he supports a commission, even, you know, Susan Collins as well. So, you know, I think for them, it might be a matter of a few minor tweaks in their view. But again, that decision will lie with Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, who's going to have to try to negotiate now with these Senate Republicans if he wants to get them on board, because he'll need at least 10 for this commission to move forward.
So, CBS News has obtained a letter claiming to represent 40 out of 50 Capitol Police officers, and the letter basically condemns congressional leaders for their lack of support for this commission. The letter arrived shortly before the House vote. Do we know anything more about this letter?
Yeah, well, this letter was said to represent some 40 to 50 Capitol Police officers. It was on Capitol Police letterhead, and this was something that was circulated by Maryland Congressman Jamie Raskin to some congressional chiefs of staff ahead of the vote yesterday. You know, he said that he has personally met with more than a dozen officers who have expressed their concerns about the direction that this commission was going, and some of the comments that lawmakers, particularly in the minority, were making. And so in this letter, they write that it's inconceivable that some of the members we protect would downplay the events of January 6th. And they said that they have profound disappointment, particularly in some of the comments that have been coming from minority leadership. That being said, the U.S. Capitol Police made clear that it does not take decisions or make decisions or issue decisions, I should say, on legislation. So they have made clear that this letter did not come from the Capitol Police itself. But Congressman Raskin said, you know, most of these officers that he spoke to and that penned this letter came forward, you know, because they and didn't want to put their names on it because they fear retribution.
It's just so striking when you see the images that we were just showing, Nikole, as you were just talking there, describing that letter from those Capitol Hill police officers, and you see the mob of people overrunning the Capitol and entering the House chambers. It is remarkable that there are some who don't believe it needs to be investigated, would like to see it all behind them, and you can certainly understand for political purposes why they might think that. So we'll see how it all plays out in the U.S. Senate. Hopefully, to the Democrats' point, they can get those 10 Republican senators to agree to this. I know there's probably going to be a lot of behind-the-scenes action, and you'll keep us up to date on that. So, but let me ask you about one other point. The House is also going to be holding a vote on that $1.9 billion security package for the Hill. What does this proposal consist of, and what's the support there?
This is a $1.9 billion security package. This has also been in the works for many months now. A lot of negotiations have been underway to finally bring this to the floor. But basically, it would cover a number of things in response to January 6th, most notably reimbursing the National Guard, which has been here on the Hill for months. They actually will be ending their duty this weekend. So this would kind of pay for their expenses expenses throughout this duration of their tour. Also, it would provide more funding and support for Capitol Police, help them acquire and obtain, more equipment, whether that's body cameras and the like. And then also this would provide more security for members. I've talked to a lot of members over the past couple of months, and they are concerned about their security, particularly when they're in their districts. These are events that are publicized, and as one member put it to me, they have no way of knowing who's going to show up at these things. And certainly while many events have been virtual, as things do open back up, there is some concern. And some members have even had to tap into their own, campaign funds to kind of pay for their security. So this is a very real issue for members. And again, this package designed to address some of that.
All right, Nikole, thank you so much.